They've disseminated this information so that you can also participate in the kind of projects that we're going to implement. And they are cross-cutting, from water to energy to road infrastructure and to other forms of infrastructures within the county. And therefore, I call upon us to support government. It is a noble cause for us to come in and sit with you, to dialogue, feedback, hear what you have, then we feedback on the different levels of instruments that the government is preparing.
Guest wetu wa leo. Kwa hivyo ningependa sisi wote tusimame, tumwelcome CS wetu wa finance, CS John Mbadi. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you. Let's have our seats. Kaeni. Asante sana mama. To the owner of the institution, the prefect here, Mr. Waititu, asante sana. My brother, colleague, member of parliament for this area, John Waithaka, representatives from the University Students Association, esteemed student team members, members of the business community. I know we have members of the Bunge la Wananchi, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Is it afternoon or evening? It's already evening. Kiambu oi! Comrades, power! Bunge la Wananchi, power! Asanteni sana. I'm happy my two DGs have already spoken in Kiswahili. Na mmeelewa vile wameongea. Sasa mimi sita attempt. Hiyo njia sitatembea hiyo barabara. Nitatembea hii barabara ingine, because what I'm going to say in English is what they said in Kiswahili. In summary, thank you very much, my Director Generals. So let me start by giving my official speech first, then nitaguzia kidogo off the cuff, alafu tutamalizia hapo. Na kama mko na maswali 2 ama 3 mtauliza na nitarudi kujibu. It is a privilege to welcome you to this pivotal gathering, an occasion that embodies our collective commitment to shaping Kenya's future through transparent, inclusive and responsible fiscal governance. I made a promise to the people of Kenya when I was appointed to this position that I'm going to open up the National Treasury for public scrutiny and engagement. I said it will be a thing of the past where National Treasury is known for the Minister of CS sitting at the 14th floor or on the 14th floor, and always it catches you by surprise when we carry those briefcases every June to read what is called the budget speech. In fact, zamani hata ilikuwa mbaya zaidi, because everybody was expecting something. Yeah? The budget is coming. People were hoarding sugar, being hoarded, mafuta, because you don't know what was going to happen the next day. If prices were increased immediately, the prices shoot that midnight. But if they were lowered, the business people are still clearing stock. Is that not the way it used to work? Things have changed. And with the 2010 Constitution, the power has been given back to the people. So, apart from the fact that people's representatives, like my friend here, John, are the ones who are now actually making the budget, ours is called budget proposals. The minister gives budget proposal, but the actual people, the people who make the budget is the National Assembly. But that should be after listening to the people. But I've decided to take an earlier initiative to engage you way before we make the budget proposal so that we can listen to wananchi, tusikize ground, vile ground inasema, ya ukweli. Kusikiza ground ya ukweli. Nafikiri ndio hii. So this marks a deliberate effort, as I've mentioned, by the National Treasury to expand its engagement with the citizenry, particularly the youth. And I will explain why the youth becomes critical. Civil society and the local business community in the management of our public resources. Without the business community, there is no economy. How many people are from the business community in the room? You are the life support system of any economy, of this country. I wish to remind us that this is not just a policy initiative, but rather a legal obligation anchored in Article 201A of the Constitution of Kenya, which mandates for public participation in all financial matters to ensure transparency, accountability, efficient utilization of resources and value for money in the management of public resources. So this process builds up from the inaugural meeting, which I held on 10th of December 2025 in Nairobi, where I launched the National Budget Students Forum with the sole purpose of embedding a youth-centric perspective into our national economic decision-making processes. During this launch, we committed to engage the youth of this country in their respective regions on matters pertaining to public financial management. Further, and to align with the recent privatization initiatives, it has been deemed necessary to broaden this engagement to also include the business community and bunge la wananchi for a more comprehensive stakeholder participation and transparency. We have broadened our public engagement away from the budgets to include privatization and divestiture. Now, because we included those, we felt that now our engagement should go beyond the youth, the civil society, and the students to include the business community and also bunge la wananchi as people's mouthpieces, or people who speak for the wananchi. And since this launch, we have held engagement meetings in various counties or various regions. We held an engagement in Kakamega for the Western Kenya region. We held an engagement in Migori for the Nyanza region. We held an engagement in Eldoret for the Rift Valley region. Today we are here for the Central region, and tomorrow I will be in Meru for the wider Eastern region, and then we will proceed to Garissa and conclude with Kilifi for the Coast region. So we have received very insightful feedback from the youth on the desired fiscal and macroeconomic policies, and also on the kind of goods and services that communities value. We have listened to various stakeholders, and we have received very insightful feedback from the participants. This has also provided us with an opportunity to highlight the trade-offs associated with allocating limited resources against the numerous competing needs. This indeed epitomizes the objective of this exercise, as citizens are better informed about policy choices amidst the constrained fiscal environment. We will all agree that our fiscal environment is constrained, and maybe I'll speak to that a while later. So, ladies and gentlemen, first I wish to reiterate that the youth represents over 75, or the youthful population, those who are below the age 35, 34 years and below, represent over 75% of our population and hold immense potential to drive national economic development. Consequently, their voices, or the voices of the youth, must be central to how we plan and how we allocate our resources. This necessitates a shift in public financial management towards inclusive and participatory governance, where young citizens actively engage and participate in policy formulation and act as co-creators of government policies that shape service delivery. The youth must be co-creators of our policies and not participants or bystanders in the policy making. Over the recent past, the youth of our nation have expressed themselves with clarity and courage regarding the high cost of living, unemployment, and the need for transparent governance. I'm sure we still remember what happened in 2024. That was clearly the youth of this country expressing themselves, how fast they want the cost of living to come down. They also want employment. Our youth want transparent governance. They want those who are governing them to govern them transparently. The youth does not want wastage of public resources. The youth abhors corruption. They came out to fight signs and signals of corruption in our society. And we must hear them. So we hear you, and we acknowledge that these concerns are not only valid, but they are urgent. We must deal with them urgently. Otherwise, we will not have a society. So our goal is to move beyond just listening. We are committed to turning this frustration into meaningful and tangible progress. This forum, therefore, provides the perfect opportunity to provide us with feedback on the necessary actions from the government to address these challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya has adopted privatization as a strategic economic policy shift to promote efficiency in the economy by subjecting public services to market forces. And you will allow me to explain that later, or elaborate on that later. This shift aims to improve competitiveness, boost revenue generation, and support fiscal consolidation pathway by reducing government expenditure on inefficient state corporations and fostering market development through deepening Kenya's capital market. This engagement process is therefore timely in view of the intensified conversation regarding opportunities privatization offers in contributing to national development through revenue enhancements, containing public debt, and easing pressure on public expenditure. This will reduce the government's administrative burden by leveraging the market expertise of the private sector. So the National Treasury will in this regard continue with sound macroeconomic policies to enhance resilience and create a conducive environment for the private sector, including the local business communities. Ladies and gentlemen, again I want to reaffirm the government's recognition of the critical role the private sector plays, especially the local business communities. The role you play in driving Kenya's economic growth through revenue contribution and job creation. So under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, the government is implementing measures to create favorable conditions for the growth and sustainability of private enterprises. To enhance these outcomes, I hereby call for closer collaboration between the government and the private sector to unlock growth opportunities, especially in sectors with high youth employment potential like agriculture, macro, small and medium enterprises, housing sector, which has proved to be a very, today I'm telling you, those of us who have been engaging plumbers, electricians, to get a plumber today is very hard because of the housing program that is going on. If we could put more resources in housing, including crowding in the private sector in that space, then it is also a way of creating a lot of job opportunities, especially for those graduates who are coming from institutions such as this one. Healthcare is another area, and of course the digital economy and digital and creative economy. Now these sectors are not only engines of growth, but also platforms for innovation, entrepreneurship, and job creation for the youth. And I'm happy one of the speakers, I think is the lady, who spoke about entrepreneurship. I don't know whether it was you or another speaker. Entrepreneurship is the way to go. Entrepreneurship. So we must look for ways of supporting and promoting entrepreneurship. So this engagement, therefore, will provide a basis for this collaboration through sharing of ideas and proposals toward this objective. We'll therefore endeavor to have a robust collaboration with all stakeholders, including the youth, private sector representatives, experts, civil society organizations, volunteers, and local communities. By forging partnership and collaboration, the government will harness ideas, skills, and resources of diverse stakeholders to better deliver policies in a more transformative way. I was elated, actually, to have received a written memorandum outlining some practical measures through which we can enhance financial support for students in tertiary institutions. And just to give you an assurance and confidence that our engagement here is not an academic exercise. Even before we move or we progress further with the budget process, I will tell you that some of the feedback that we are getting from engaging with the student is already finding its way in our BPS and the budget for 2026-27. For example, because of the concerns that the students have raised regarding the funding, we have decided to propose an enhancement of higher education loans board from the current 41 billion to 58 billion in the next financial year. And also the scholarship program to benefit from an enhanced allocation from 16 billion to about 34 billion shillings. That means that those two budget lines is going to move from around 57 billion to 92 billion. And I think that is just a demonstration that we want to put more resources towards educating our youth and make education cheaper, even at that level. As we also look at the capitation, because even today's papers, and I'm sure you must have read in today's papers, the concern about capitation, that it is not adequate. And I agree that we have been underfunding our students in high schools. And that is something that we are also addressing, even with the constrained financial space that we have. We have noted the valuable feedback, which includes strengthening financial support for student funding, and that is what I'm explaining, financing, reforming students' loan, and one of the speakers spoke about it. We have reformed the way now we are funding our higher education learning from the way it used to be to now student-focused and even course-focused. Because training a medical student is not the same as training an accountant. It is definitely different. It's more expensive to train an engineer because of the demands. An accountant, I just need a book and a pen and some calculator. Yeah, we used to use calculator. Maybe nowadays use, what do we call this thing? iPad or whatever. Laptop. But engineering, you need heavy machines. Medicine, you need a lot of practicals. You don't need any practical to know how to prepare a balance sheet or P&L. You just need a smart brain and you will be there. So there is a difference on how we fund our students. And that now has been factored in. And we are establishing an emergency student support fund as well. The written memorandum that we received will be consolidated alongside the views from this regional fora for consideration during the preparation of the financial year 26-27 and the medium-term budget process. Further, we are also aware of the financial strains facing our public universities, which impact the quality of education and future prospects for our youth. Our strategy emphasizes increased funding, as I've mentioned, infrastructure development, and curricular reforms to equip students with skills relevant for the evolving job market, particularly in areas like artificial intelligence, data science, green technologies, and vocational trades. So during this process, we welcome positive critique of our public financial management systems and policies to shape the budget process. There is nothing wrong with faulting our policies. There is nothing wrong with questioning us. That is why we are in public offices. These offices we hold in trust for you. So therefore, you are perfectly in order to question me, even in the most, let me not call it uncouth, but in whichever way, forum, method you use, because people are born differently. So just come natural and ask hard questions. And then that may help me because I may be overlooking something. All right? but also let us engage constructively. What I don't support is partisan thinking in an engagement like this, where you already come, even when you are wrong, you don't want to accept you are wrong because you have taken a position. Then that is not an engagement. So your active engagement in this process guarantees efficient and transparent use of public funds, ensuring that public resources achieve their intended objectives. I wish to urge for your concerted effort to enable us build a Kenya where opportunities are accessible to all, where youth are empowered to live, and where our collective aspirations become reality, including the marginalized among us and including the most disadvantaged among us, persons living with disabilities. And I'm sure together we can forge a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient nation. That is the end of my official speech. So, thank you for that. So allow me just to explain a couple of things. And as I've put it very clearly, we are engaging with you first to hear from the people. If you are keen, and I'm sure you are, you saw me taking notes. I have a book, and I'm not even trusting this with any of my staff. I'm doing it personally. Because when I write, I can easily remember, as opposed to what someone writes and gives me. So I'm taking notes diligently so that in these engagements, at least when I come back next year, there should be a proof that something that was said here was taken into consideration. May not be all, but at least something. And Mheshimiwa, I want to agree with you that yes, one of this road of Dumberi, Muthaiga roundabout road, it's very critical. Very, very critical. But the good news is that I think less than 2 weeks ago, maybe last week or the other week, I actually signed to approve for specially permitted procurement for that road. Specially procurement is a faster way of procuring. So I am very sure that that road, His Excellency the President will come to launch for its construction very, very soon. And that is because Kiambu, by the way, what you do on this road is not just helping Kiambu. Kiambu has become part of Nairobi. Kiambu has become part of Nairobi. And many, many of us live in Kiambu. I actually have lived in Kiambu now twice. My first house, when I got employed, was in Githurai 45, Kimbo. Githurai, Kimbo. So I lived in Kiambu, and then I recently, before I moved westward, I don't even know what I was going to do there anyway, but I was staying along this road, along Kiambu Road, up to 2018. So many of us live in Kiambu. Many of us are actually part of you, even when you think some of us come from Nyanza, coast, or whatever. Kiambu is very, very important, and therefore we must have this road accessible. But let me now, I will address some question that has been asked here. But before that, allow me now to take you through some process here. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the reality. One of us said it, that in 2021, 2022, IMF had predicted that 6 countries in Africa were going to default in debt repayment. Meaning, we were not going to be able to pay back our debts. Okay? I don't know how many of us understand what that means if we fail to pay our debts. If you fail to pay your debt, it means it is a failed economy. It's a collapsed economy. What will happen is IMF will come calling. They will tell you, okay, fine, you are part of the global world. We will help you. but on conditions. Number one, you must cut your civil service by, say, 50%. So half of the chiefs to go home, half of the teachers to go home. I'm giving you an example of what they may decide on. And all civil servants, reduce the number of MPs, constituencies from 290 to 145. MCAs reduced from 1,400, maybe 700 and something. And reduce the salary of everybody, including the president, by 50%. Those are the conditions they would come with. Remember, there was this structural program during Mzee Moi's time. We had not even defaulted. We were just struggling as an economy. And for us to receive money from IMF and World Bank, one of the conditions was retrenchment. Take staff home. And the people you are taking home are people who have been paying school fees for our children. They are the ones who are feeding their families. And you are taking them home with sometimes peanuts. 2 months pay, 3 months pay in lieu, such like things. That is what was facing us. And let me tell you, 5 countries out of those 6 have defaulted. In the neighborhood here is Ethiopia. The other one was Ghana, Chad, Mozambique. They have defaulted. It's only Kenya which has not defaulted. It's only Kenya. I know many of us, we have been told that this government has done nothing, and we believe it. And there is nothing wrong with believing, because we can't think the same. By the way, if we always agree, if you find 2 people always agreeing, one of them is not thinking. Or both. If you are both thinking, there must be a point of departure. So there is nothing wrong with having a perception that this government has done nothing. But even as you have that perception, remember that this government saved us from that default. Hata kama wamefanya nothing, hiyo ni tick. Because we would not have economy today. You are talking of you being business people. How would you have done business in an economy that has collapsed? An economy where people are not earning a salary. An economy where everybody has been retrenched, they have gone home. So that is number one. And remember, my friends, that was at a time our inflation was almost hitting double digits. 9.6%. Remember, we moved to a point where even getting foreign exchange, if you are going to buy goods from outside this country, was not easy. If you went to the bank early 2024 to get dollars, if you were lucky, you'd get 20% of what you wanted. That happened if you're business people. I'm sure you must have seen that. If you were a child studying abroad, that was what was happening in this country in 2024, January, February. Because there was a debt that was coming for payment in June 2024, and there was no plan. The previous government did not prepare anything because they knew they were going away. The government that succeeded them also had problems because they had to pay salary, they have to do this. So the debt was coming for payment. Kenya does not know how to pay it. The shilling went to the dollar, 160, something we had never seen in this country. That is why this government, we decided that we must be proactive. And there is a debt, Eurobond, that was coming in 2027. We paid that last year, February. It is coming for payment in 2027, we paid it. There's another one coming up for payment in 2028, and it was huge. We decided to pay over 60% of it in September last year, because we want to de-risk our economy. We don't want to gamble. If we were careless enough, we would say 2028 it is on. After all, it is after election. But we decided, no, we must be proactive. This economy, if it collapses, we are all in problem. Whether you are in government or you are outside. Whether you are in opposition or you are nobody. The economy does not discriminate. That now because you are in opposition, we will treat you kindly. Kama bei ya chakula imepanda, kila mtu. Hata kama ulipigia rais kura, ama hukumpigia, kama mimi. Sikumpigia. Nyinyi, majority here, najua mlipigia Ruto kura. Si ndio? Mimi nilipigia Raila. Lakini wacha niwaambie kitu. Hata mkisema tutatoa huyu, tutaweka huyu. Kama hakuna chakula, hata kama ni ndugu yako, hakuna faida. That is the plain truth. Unajua, I can just tell you the truth. You know, even if hata mkitutoa in 2027 niende nyumbani, si bado nitakula? Ama mnaona nitakufa na njaa? Nitakula. Nimefanya kazi kwa miaka 30 years. University, nikaenda nikafanya finance director international organization, nimekuwa mbunge 17 years, sasa minister. Sasa hapo kama bado nitaomba chakula, sasa hiyo ni makosa ya nani? Must I have a job? No, I don't have to have a job. But what I want is a progressive Kenya, where my grandchildren, because my children have gone to school, where my grandchildren will be able to go to school at affordable school fees. That's what we need. Now, what I was explaining is this, ladies and gentlemen, I hope we are together. If you look at our economic situation, we are trying to manage the debt. But the worst decision we would take as a country is to manage debt and we continue piling more debts. Ni kama kuchimba shimo kufill another hole. 2, Kenyans have spoken. No more raising of taxes. Kenyans don't want us to increase more taxes because tumefika hapa. Hiyo ni ukweli. Tumefika wapi? Na taxes. And by the way, I am a student of taxation. If there is one topic that I understand and subject I understand, is taxation and tax laws. Actually, I was an A student when it came to taxation, public finance and tax laws. In taxation, we are taught that there are 3 classes of economic activities: wealth, income, and trade. Good tax policy should target wealth. Wealthy people are to pay tax. Wealthy. Number 2, kama hujatosheka, then go for income. But the lowest, the least is trade. Don't tax trade. Wacha watu wafanye biashara, watengeneze pesa, ile profit wamepata, wa expand business. Ndiye, that is how to create employment opportunities. Because if you tax business, you tax trade, you overtax trade, where do people get money to expand their business to create employment? And if they don't expand business, they will not create employment. And you will have so many people mugging people around because they don't have jobs. So, taxation is not an option. Debt is not an option. So what do we do as a country? And by the way, the whole world has shifted their attention. Long gone were years when the developed world used to come to Kenya to give us money. America and Russia, one time when Russia was still Russia, USSR, they used to compete to give developing countries money because they wanted to buy their support. Then came China, USA. Today, USA, America first. They are not thinking about you. If you are in this room and you still think there is any money that will come to America to help us provide services to you, you are daydreaming. China the same. If they give you money, they are doing their own business. Msifikiri wanatusaidia. We must start thinking internal. How do we raise our own money? How do we raise our own money for our infrastructure? The tax that we are getting is only enough to put in education, health, and social services. And it is not even enough. There is no money to do infrastructure unless we borrow. And borrowing is not an option. That is why one of the reasons for privatizing our assets is for us to be able to raise money and use that money to develop our assets and expand our economy. The economy is growing at 5%, but that cannot create employment opportunities for our youth. We have one of the fastest growing populations in the world. And that money that we are raising from Safaricom, from KPC, we must put it as a seed capital. If we use it in the budget in the normal way, it is like kuuza nyumba kukula, kununua chakula. Unauza nyumba, ununue chakula. Hiyo ni good investment. So we want this money to be used exclusively in doing projects that will spur economic growth. Infrastructure projects that are economically viable. That is what we want to do. And I know there are a lot of doubts because Kenyans have seen these efforts ending up in people's pockets, money being stolen. That is what you should now hold us accountable for. Don't tell us, msiuze. Kwanza, the government is not in the business of doing business. You know, I keep on saying this. Serikali is not supposed to do business. We are supposed to provide a platform for you and a conducive environment. Mfanye biashara, you give us taxes. If anything, hata ile kioskio yako, government owns 30% of it, if not more. We own 30% of all businesses in Kenya. So why do we again compete in business? Because you are paying us taxes. And sisi ndiye mnatulipa kwanza. Unatengeneza pesa hata kabla hujalipa mshahara, unapatia serikali pesa yake. So we don't need dividend. Hii kitu ya kusema ati KPC is giving us 4 billion dividend, hiyo ni upuzi. It is useless. Hiyo 4 billion, tutapata 4 billion for how many years to do Jomo Kenyatta International Airport? We want to do all thicker superhighway. It has become crowded, congested. Those who are staying in Thika, how many hours do they take to reach city center to do their business? So many hours. It's already crowded. Look at the road to Namanga. It's crowded. We must do all these roads. And people pay it all. Don't also get too used to vitu za bure. They are expensive in the long run. Mnalipa toll, then we get the money to do other roads. That's what we want to do with Safaricom. We want to do with KPC. So that we free you. The middle class are complaining that they are attacks. We have sat with the president and we have agreed. Those salaried Kenyans, we have 3.5 million Kenyans earning salary. They are carrying the burden of almost everybody. It is not fair. Unakuta mtu ana earn 30,000, 35,000 ati analipa ushuru. Ya nini? We have decided, I am taking proposal amendment to bunge. If I'm not even waiting for finance bill. Anybody earning below 30,000 in this country should pay zero tax. Zero. You are earning survival salary. Hiyo si salary ya kusema ati serikali bado tunakuja kuchukua ushuru kwa 30,000. Someone earning 30,000. Na rent yako ni 10,000. Pesa unakula na bibi yako na watoto 10,000. School fees ni 10,000. Hata kuna pesa ya kutumia mama yako. In the village, transport ni 5,000. Then we are also coming for another 6,000, 7,000. Ati unalipa ushuru 30,000 and below, zero. And anyone earning below 50,000 in this country, we are going tunaenda kupunguza tax. And this the government has decided. We have sat down with the president and we have agreed. We want to give you something in your pocket so that you can spur demand in the economy. Because we have looked at the economy and we can see the economy choking. Because people don't have money in their pockets to buy from you people. Hakuna mtu ananunua mboga. Badala ya kununua mboga saizi hii, mtu anakuja kununua mboga 4 leaves. Anaongeza na maji. Because we have taken their tax. Money in the form of tax. Those who are earning low salary up to 50,000, we must give you a relief. And it is immediate. Sawa sawa. That is why we are saying, let us think creatively, innovatively. Badala ya instead of going for the traditional ways of raising funds, mheshimiwa, we must now be creative. We must think strategic. Mimi, it doesn't matter even if I don't come back as Minister for Finance. But the period that I'm there, I must leave a mark. In fact, you know, if you are in an office and you stay in an office for 2-3 years, now talk and people cannot even remember you. Wewe ulikuwa bure kabisa kwa hiyo ofisi. People should remember you even if you have made a failed attempt. Hata kama hiyo experiment imeanguka, let people remember you as the Minister for Finance who attempted to do this with a disastrous result. Hiyo ni mbaya. Kuna makosa hapo? Wacha nimalizie. Wacha niangalie kama kuna vitu maswali mmeuliza which I have not addressed. So I am just telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that this effort we are taking, this strategy we are taking, please don't oppose it for the sake of it. The moment, you know, look at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Bwana Macharia. Just hiyo airport ukitumia unaona hiyo ni airport ya sifa kweli. You know, we are priding ourselves as the largest economy East and Central Africa. Number 6 in Africa. After South Africa, Egypt, Morocco, Nigeria, Morocco, and Algeria. Out of these 5 countries with bigger economy than Kenya, 3 are from the north. 1 south. Another one western. Hapa hii dunia yote ya Central and East, sisi ndiye tunanguruma. We are the elephant. Ama we are the Simba. We are the lion. Roaring with no airport. Shame on us. We must do this airport. We must. We must look for resources to do this airport, my friends. Otherwise, we will lose our advantage as logistics hub of the region. People will move to a tiny country like Rwanda because they have better facilities. Some will go to Ethiopia, which we have just overtaken as the 6th largest economy in Africa. Why do you want to put Kenya subject us to such a shame? Just because we can't be bold enough. And by the way, those who are telling you, sijui tunauza, sijui tunauza, this KPC, Kenya Pipeline, government of President Kibaki identified it for divestiture, for privatization in 2009. Cabinet approved. Hii siasa ndogo ndogo duni hii, some suppliers thinking they will lose business, sijui some staff thinking they will lose jobs, is what has brought us to where we are. And let me ask you about this Safaricom. Munasema, Hii Safaricom, si we owned it 100%. Kwa nini leo ni 35%? Moi offloaded 40%. Mlipiga kelele? Hata tulipata some peanuts. Kibaki came, offloaded 25%. Mlipiga kelele? Kibaki offloaded Kenyan 30%, isn't it? Mlipiga kelele? Na KCB? See, we used to own KCB 100%. Na Kenyari? Si ziliuzwa? Wacha tuseme zinauzwa. Tuseme tunauza Safaricom. Tunauza KPC. They were sold. Ziliuzwa. Na kwa nini saa hii ni kelele? We are releasing 15%. Kibaki released 25%. Kelele. Hii kelele ni ya nini? Because it is Mbadi. Na hiyo ingine ni Kimunya ndiye alifanya ama ni nani? Was it Kimunya au Merari? Kimunya. Kama Kimunya aliuza 25 na nikiuza 15. Uhuru hakuuza, unaona vile tuko na deni. Our debt rose from 1.6 trillion, now we are over 10 trillion. Kibaki left 1.8. Today ni over 10, 11 trillion. Because Uhuru feared to divest. Ati tumeweka ni kama souvenir. KPC. My friends, wachana ni yu puzi. Hizi vitu hata kama nitatafuta zingine. We will look for more of these public assets which have matured. And we release them. And we create a fund. I want to leave a fund. When I'm leaving this ministry, I want to leave a fund with trillions of shillings. So the people who are going to lead this country, I'm pleading with them. Let them make sure they retain me in this position until we have a fund with at least 3 trillion. Ndiye nitaondoka. A fund where now if we want to do our assets, tunaenda tunatoa hapo. Now, let me answer you. Those who are asking, are they going to be shareholders? I think ni wewe ndio uliuliza hiyo. Na huyu. Very sharp girl. My advisor. You said you want to be in the advisory board. Very sharp. Now, listen. First of all, we are going to make sure that the privatization of KPC is as diverse as we practically can. Anyone who will apply for shares in KPC must get, there must be a minimum that you must get. And by the way, from 900 shillings, you can be a shareholder. And we have made sure that Kenyans are given their pie. Secured. Number one. So we are divesting 65%. 35 bado serikali. I have retained that as a shareholder. 35. But he 65. 65. You 65. 5% of the 65. Tunapatia employees of KPC. Those who have been working for KPC all these years. Then 15%, 15 is going for oil marketing companies because oil marketers are the biggest stakeholders in KPC. That one is open to all oil marketers across, whether they are in Europe, whether they are wherever, they will apply, and our local ones. But 20% is for you and I. Individual Kenyans, not companies. Someone asked, the banks will buy all and leave us with nothing. Ni wewe ndio uliuliza. There is one for individuals, you and I, mimi na wewe. But to protect you, because the money you may raise may be less than what I raise, we will first get equal allocation. Is when now we go for those who have more money if shares are still there. So we start with the small people. They also get like any other person. Individuals, 20%. Then another 20%, institutional investors now. That is where now pension funds, NSSF, if they have money, they can put there. Yeah? Mutual trusts, like Old Mutual, Nini, they can put money there. Insurance companies can invest. So that is another 20%. Then 20%, we are giving the East African region. I've just come from Uganda this morning. I came actually direct here. Uganda, they want to invest in KPC. Because Uganda provides 32% of the market of KPC. Revenue of KPC, 32% comes from the Ugandan economy. That's not an economy you can ignore. And you know we are supplying 97% of fuel in Uganda. Only 3% comes from Tanzania. We want to control it 100%. But we are telling them, we are inviting them, they also become partners in this. So we are expanding. 20% we give the rest of East Africa. And then 20% to go to the rest in the world. So ukiongeza hiyo yote, you'll find that 20% is for local Kenyans, 20% of 65% is 13%. Then another 20% is for our companies, another 13%. That is 26. 26 plus 35 is already 70 what? Is already 61, isn't it? Percent. Oil marketers, majority will also be Kenyan. And then there's our staff, which is 5%, which is about 3%, because it's 5% of 65%. So if you add all that, you find shareholding by Kenyans, including the government, will be about 70%. The company is still Kenyan by all standards. That is KPC. So, sijui kama have I addressed someone in the room? Let me move quickly because give me just another 5 minutes, then I'll be done. So there are some which are actually advice, some are individual requests. Those ones I know how I'll get. My friend, you gave some individual requests. There was also a gentleman here who spoke. There's someone who said school fees yake 50,000 ilikwama mahali. Ni wewe? Wewe utaniona nitakata hiyo bili yako by 50%. Yeah, so let me just conclude. This is the way I look at Kenya. There are things that we must do for this country. One, we must be bold and take decisions. Hii maneno ya kuogopa take decisions is wrong. Number two, we must love this country. We must love our country and put our country first. Let me tell you, there is no person who can survive in this country alone. There is no tribe which can survive in this country alone. We live here in Nairobi. If it is not for the community around here who supply us with food and people who travel from the other places, we cannot survive here. And I'm telling you, you may be giving the highest taxes in this country. But if we are not in Nairobi to provide you with market, hakuna mahali mtauzia hizo vitu zenyu. Hata ukilima waru kiasi gani utajiuzia? Utauzia watoto wako? Lazima mlete Nairobi na surrounding mtuuzie. Hiyo samaki yangu ya kutoka Lake Victoria siwezi kula peke yangu ama na watu wetu. Lazima zikuje hapa Nairobi. Na kwanza siku hizi nyinyi ndiye mnakula samaki hata kutoshinda. Let us just love each other and love our country. And criticize and critique objectively. And then let us condemn those who are putting tribalism ahead of everything else. You know, let me tell you, hata mimi, I would have really loved to be born in a Kikuyu. If anything, you people have better land here than us. You have better proximity to Nairobi. Mimi nimesumbuka kukuja hapa. You really suffer to reach Nairobi. And if anything, who would not want to come from a populous community? Lakini Mungu ndiye alichoose nizaliwe huko. And I'm sure some of you are also admiring the Luos. You'd have wanted to be a Luo. Because we also have some characteristics that are very unique. Even when I'm a poor, you cannot tell. Ama namna gani? But Mungu aliamua uzaliwe hapa. It was not your choice. So why are you proud with something you did not contribute to? You have zero contribution. I am a Luo. So what? Did I decide to be a Luo? Was I even there when my mother and father were agreeing? I was not there. If they decided not to agree, I would not be there today, my friend. I should be very grateful for those two old people. But unfortunately, they are all gone, both of them. Because they have made me to be here. So, I don't know. Ni shetani gani saa zingine inaingia kwa fikra ya Wakenya. And lastly, sometimes we don't know the damage we cause to our economy when we do a few things that we do in this country. One of them, to target people's businesses. Let me tell you, as Minister for Finance, you know, I'm so knowledgeable in matters finance, Mheshimiwa. And we sat in Bunge. In fact, people should be moved from executive to parliament, I think, even to judiciary at times. You get to appreciate more. Now I understand the cost of riot. In fact, when we used to close the roads in Nairobi and say all Mondays, holiday. Maandamano. Tuesday. I remember Baba saying, Tuesday. I didn't know the damage that was causing. Do you know, one day, when you close this economy, one day, it takes 3 months to come out of 1 day's disruption of economic activities. We are still feeling the effects of 2024. Today, it is still reflected in my figures. And I go to IMF, I have to convince them that things are improving. I have to talk to World Bank. Today, I am struggling with World Bank to justify and demonstrate that our debt sustainability is still within limit. Because they don't see economic projection, they are looking at economic projection, they are saying there was a lot of interruption, and for this to pick up, they are projecting 3 years. I'm telling them, no, it is just a few months. My friends, even if we don't agree with the government, I think we must look for ways of picketing in this country. That does not mean I am now against people picketing. We must picket if government is not doing the things we want government to do. You must demonstrate your displeasure, but let us not disrupt economic activities. It is costly, it is expensive, it is one of the reasons why we are paying high debts. It gets to a point, you and I are the ones who pay for those things. So let's talk to our children, let's talk to ourselves, and understand that we live in a country which, if it burns, all of us, no one is safe. All of us were here in 2007. I don't know who was, maybe a few people were not born, but I don't know. 2007, surely. Is there anyone in the room who was not alive then? But some of you were young. But those of us who are not young, we saw something you could never imagine. Your neighbor is turning against you. Someone you are drinking tea with. Someone you are greeting each other in the morning, in the evening. Nasema mama so and so, habari yako. All of a sudden, anashika panga. Anakukata. Why? Because someone has been announced the president. And someone has not been announced the president. But the politics began, the toxic politics just began kama mchezo. It was just kama mchezo. Let me conclude. Ilikuwa kama mchezo. Mlikuwa mnaambiwa huyu akichukua presidency mtatembea na suruali na vinyasa, si ndio? Na sisi tuliambiwa huyu saa hii ametukasirikia kupita kiasi. Akiendelea kuongoza nchi mtalazimishwa mkule samaki mbichi. Let me tell you, if there is anyone who eats fish anaogopa ni kukula samaki mbichi. Kulazimishwa ukule samaki mbichi. And you know, people believed it. To the extent we invested emotions in presidential election. Emotions. Yet presidents come and go. In fact, Kibaki had only 5 years left. And if Raila won, he had only 10 years. He would have ruled and left. Hata sahi, si mlikuwa mnasema yeye ndiye shetani zaidi. Na sasa tumemzika. Kwani shetani imeisha Kenya sasa? Wengi wenyu wameanza kulia, wapi Raila? Hata kabla hajazikwa, wapi Raila? But he is not going to be there again. He is gone. Ameenda. Mtaendelea kuchukia Mbadi because Raila is gone. Na mimi pia nitakufa. Sasa mtachukia nani? Tulichukia Kibaki, akamaliza yake, akaenda. Uhuru amemaliza yake, ameenda. Leo ni Ruto. Kesho tutaanza kuchukia nani? Gachagua. Gachagua ataenda. Na tuchukue Ndindi Nyoro. Tuanze kumchukia. Is that the country we want to lead? Is that the country where we want to live? Anyway, I was just talking generally. Maybe I've made sense, maybe I've not made sense. But I am leaving you by saying, I am given a responsibility of being your Minister for Finance. Whether you are a Luo, a Pokomo, Kikuyu, Turkana, I am your Minister for Finance. I owe it to you to make things better. I will do my best in my small way to support the government and work for the people of Kenya. Hata kama utanichukia sababu ya kabila yangu ni sawa, but I will have done my best. Sawa sawa. Mwingine ataingia, tutamchukia, let him also do his best. May God bless you. Asanteni sana kwa kukuja. So I know later, I don't know whether we have, what is the program? Maybe, I don't know. And remember, I have been too busy crisscrossing Uganda, wapi. So maybe we have open plenary for 3 or so questions. Ama namna gani? Then, tumalize. So this is what I'm going to suggest. Oh. Like, suggesting bunge, students and business, but I'm thinking differently. You know, we had already representation from all those categories. So what I want is to pick someone from here, from there, from there, and I will balance with gender. So let me see the first hand. I can see there is a hand of a gentleman here. Then there is a lady here. The people have pointed at, you just stand so that we see you. I'll do the second round, and I will start with you here. So here, this must be a man. I wish I could see the person living with disability. Are you having a question? If you don't, I can pick him because he's sitting next to you. Can I? You have one, so let me pick him, my brother. Then here, wewe usisimame. Ni wewe. Haya. So just be direct to the point. Tuanze na yule akupale mwisho. Do you have you want to use this? Okay, now ninaambiwa mmekaa sana. Can we all stand up for a minute? You stretch yourself. You stretch yourself. Useme ukabila hakuna. Ukabila hakuna, sisi sote ni wa Kenya. Haya. Now you could sit if you at your own pleasure. Let's be quick. You can see these guys are tired. Asubuhi walikuja hapa before lunch. Hatujawatengenezea lunch, so make sure 1 minute each.
Minister, niko na disability.
Just tell me, mention your name as well.
Paul.
Whether you are from the business community, yes.
Paul Jenga. Niko na disability.
Thank you.
Nauliza, tuko na vikundi kama 5 disability na wale wako na severe na wale wako na guardians na parents. Nauliza, kwa ajili wale wako na severe na wale wazazi wanaweza kusaidiwa aje na serikali kwa ajili hata kama wanapewa ile kidogo, na nashukuru, na pia yuko na watoto wengine na yeye haiwezi toka nyumbani kwa ajili anaenda kazi nyingine. Please, government wanaweza kuwasaidia.
Thank you very much. Ntajibu. Yes, Mama.
My name CS Mbadi. My name is Lea Mboro, representing Kenyan CCI in the SME sectoral head. I wanted to ask a question on operational expenses. In terms of the budget, over the years, we have seen about 70% or 85% going to the operation budget. And when I talk about operation budget, as an accountant like you are, I know you understand what I mean. We should now looking at development more, so that we get more percentage of the development fund, and that way we'll go to Singapore. The other one is business associations like KNCCI, KEPSA, and other recognized institutions. In the empowerment of the government to the SMEs or businesses or even the youth and the women, kindly consider that the organizations, business association can be the cluster to be able to deal with the issue of capacity building.
Okay.
The other one, the final one, is about the political party.
I wanted only one question.
Let me just finish in seconds.
Yes.
As a policy development, I wanted to just suggest that you increase the 30% of assigned political party money to the women, so that the women can come up and they are able to go to affirmative action. Thank you.
Next, yeah.
Good evening. I'm Francis Dungo, a person with disability. Mine is just very short, and I would like CS Mbadi to clarify to the persons of the disability. Because we have 2025 Disability Act, and we are still waiting for the regulation so that the act can be implemented to the letter. I would like you to consider the act to be implemented so that the lives of persons with disability can be adjusted adequately. Thank you.
Thank you. And then there was a lady there in white.
Thank you so much. My name is Wazi Maina from the University of Nairobi. I'm in campus, an aspiring governor in the same faculty. My question goes, because now we are in a student institution, we were requesting, because some of us, we as a student, we not even get access to that Nyota fund that was being given out to the youth in the pursuit of youth empowerment, and most of us can contest to that. Again, even with the students around, they have told me that they have not even received their 2.1 or their first semester help loans. How then are we expected to sustain ourselves in such a tight economy with having even small upkeep being a challenge and problematic to us as students? So we just request us from the student fraternity, if you could consider maybe if you would get the help loans at the right time, and make sure that we do not get them late, then we'll appreciate. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's... Let's deal with those ones first. So, Paul, you have asked specifically how do we deal with various categories of persons living with disability, more particularly those with severe disability. That's how the support should be stratified in a way that we give more attention to persons living with severe disability. I've taken note of that. By the way, some of these should not be like questions. They should be like suggestions. Because this was an engagement that is informing how we budget. I did not come here with answers. I came here to engage with you. So I listen to you and I hear you. And now that should inform our policy decision. Maybe we need to stratify the support that we give persons living with disabilities, so that those with the people supporting them, like guidance, are not given the same support as those who have no one to support them, or some persons with severe disabilities. Now, Leah, I agree with you that for any country to develop, you must put more resources in development, as opposed to recurrent expenditure or operational expenses, as you put it. If you look at our budget, by the way, very little portion of our budget, local revenue or domestic revenue, go into development. Almost the whole of it is consumed on either debt repayment, pension, and recurrent expenditure. O&M. Let me just give you... Last year, we collected about 2.4 billion. 2.4 trillion shillings. Out of that 2.4 trillion, the debt service cost was about 1.1 trillion. So that leaves you with just about 1.3. How much is our salaries? It used to be 900 billion. This year it has crossed to 960, because now our wage bill per month has moved from 75 billion to 80 billion. That's for national government. So if you take out, say 900 billion from 1.3 trillion, you remain with only 400 billion. And transfers to counties is 415. It has taken all that money So the only development budget that we finance with our domestic taxes or revenue is development in the counties. The national government budget, development expenditure, is borrowed money. That is the reality. But sometimes you ask yourself, yes, and maybe when we consider education as development, now we try now to be clever, to categorize maybe education as development. Although we know very well that yes, education is development, but it's a long-term one. So sometimes you ask yourself, do I stop paying salaries to put money on the road? Do I stop giving money for health programs and put money to do airport, to do development? The answer is no. You will go for capitation, you will go for recurrent. And by the way, security sector is consuming a lot of our budget. And I know people are complaining about security sector, but let me tell you one thing. We are in an environment that is exposed. We are bordering Somalia here. If you get the details of what some of the things that security sector stops or falls, the attempted attack on our land, then you would appreciate why we should spend on security. If something happens at the coast, like attack, Al-Shabaab attack, we would not have an economy. The entire tourism sector will come down on its knees. If it happens in Nairobi like it happened in Dusit, what happens? So security sector must be also looked into. Both NIS to gather information, defense. People have been saying that Kenya is not at war. Why are we upgrading our equipment? First, we are at war. We have been at war for years now. When Kibaki was president, we are at war with Al-Shabaab. Either we allow them to come and fight us here in Kenya, or we fight them out there. So we spend a lot of money in fighting Al-Shabaab. And we are in a neighborhood where, look at what is happening in Sudan. Look at what is happening in Congo, Rwanda. We are in a neighborhood, you are not sure of your enemies. Some people just issue some statement, some of our neighbors, which scares you. If we don't have equipment to deter them, because when we get some of those equipment, we tell them now, we are both soldiers and that. So take care. If you joke, we'll come for you. And it is a problem in the whole world. Europe now are scared of their security because they don't know when Russia will attack another nation. So that is the challenge we have. But I will tell you, that is why we are thinking of creating a fund for development. We need energy. We are generating only 3,000 megawatts, and we need at least 10,000. Where do we get money to generate power? This money that we are getting from Safaricom and KPC to upscale our energy. Otherwise, blackout will be the order of the day as it is. And the cost of energy will continue to rise. 2, we want to do irrigation. We cannot assure food security if we rely on God all the time. God ni mzuri, tunamuomba na tupatia reni na pale. But we should not be disturbing God too much when he decides to keep the rain a little bit, because he's the one who knows how to regulate the universe. So sometimes we should also be helping God. When he gives us a lot of rain, we should harvest that water, keep it, and do our agriculture. Ama namna gani? Christians in the room, kuna makosa nimefanya? If I've gone too far, you tell me. But the only way to ensure development gets more budget is that. But there's something I wanted to say about this, because now that you have mentioned it, and I told my friends here, Mheshimiwa and the principal, I am not a student of austerity measures. Austerity measures only apply when economy is struggling and is failing. Why do you think America just spends money anyhow? And economists will tell you, and finance experts like me will tell you, that austerity measure is one of the laziest ways of handling an economy. When economy is struggling, stimulate it. Let there be money. Let people spend. If you are telling people not to hold meetings in hotels, how will those hotels make money? How will those people who are working in those hotels earn a living? So we should allow people to spend in our economy. We only come with this austerity measure because we can't survive. So when you are not surviving, you look for any tactic. It may be unorthodox. Like if you are walking at night in the darkness and someone just catches your neck, you will throw your leg, you don't even know who you are kicking, and throwing your hands just to survive. So austerity measure is only to survive. But I'm not advocating for wastage of public resources. So long as you spend the money prudently and you spend it in a more accountable manner, the better. We need to travel. People need to travel. That is when matatus will make business. Yeah? People should be traveling from Nairobi to Kisumu, Mombasa. So austerity measures is confining us. We don't spend. A politician, I can go on forever. I have heard you about the business associations, increasing the political parties funds from 30%, that is going to the marginalized groups. I think Mheshimiwa is here. I think that is something that Parliament should consider and amend the law to provide for more support to the disadvantaged groups from that political parties funds. Presently, I agree with you, it is 30%, targeting women, youth, and persons dealing with the disability. Ms. Ndungu, you asked about regulations on 2025 Disability Act. This I will follow with my counterpart, my colleague, where it is. Loan delay, minor. I will find out why HELB is delaying, because my understanding is we disburse HELB allocation on time. But I'll find out why that delay is there so that we make it seamless. We should not just put money in the budget. We are really trying to make sure that budget reaches the users. Finally, was on Nyota. Mainstreaming students into Nyota. Yes, that can be thought about. But again, we also don't want to remove students from classes to do business. Yeah, we want students to learn, finish, and either choose to go into business or employment. If we start taking you away from class and giving you money to start your businesses, my friend, especially men, cannot think business and think class. Women can, but men, multitasking. Ati unasoma, na uko na business kwa biashara yako, na uko na girlfriend anakusumbua. Hizo tatu, it will be too much. So let us not remove students from classes. What we need to do is the money should be available for those who are coming out of colleges to support those who want to get into entrepreneurship, to go into entrepreneurship. But I would not advocate for setting aside funds for students to do businesses. That was it. Do you want us to take another round? See what wamechoka? Maybe I give only 2 people because I told you I'll give you. Wacha nimpe hata moja tu. Huyu mama alinua mkono. Yeah. Just quickly, you can see public opinion. Na mimi ninasikiza ground. Na tena ya ukweli. Yes.
I see the mood in the house, Wazili. So mine is quick. Number 1, my name is Jane Kehongi. Other than being Jane Kehongi, I'm also aspiring to be the senator of this great county. We had talked about GBV. Daktari had talked about GBV. We want to send you as women of this county that we declare GBV a national disaster in this country, especially in our county. The other one is on the other elephant we have in the room is Kirigiti Stadium. We don't know what has happened to Kirigiti Stadium. We have not used it. We don't know whether there is budget for it or whether there is no budget for it. So take that to Waziri so that we can have Kirigiti Stadium up and running. I also have another one. You said you want to take a very bold move in Parliament and declare that all those people who are working and have a salary of 30,000 not to be taxed. I want to give you another bold one. Education is key in this county and in the country as a whole. We have bursary funds from all over. We have the MCA, we have the woman rep, we have our able MP, we have the governor, we have the president. Why don't we consolidate all this into one kitty? You are a CS in the ministry. You send all this money to the Ministry of Education so we can have education free in this country. So that you can have education free in this country. We have so many people, we have so many students who have not moved to grade 10. The last one is the Women Fund, which you have just touched. Can we also have a budget improved for the Women Fund? Women are people who take these loans and they pay back. So can it be improved so that we can have our women empowered? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you can see we would have lost quite a bit if we didn't allow her to say what she has said. And first, let me again associate and praise you for what you have said, because one of the reasons, actually the main reason why I came here, is to listen to you. To listen to your suggestions. And I'm having takeaways here. One is that Kiringiti Stadium, what happened to it? So I'm taking back that to find out why it is not going on. All right? Number two, a very bold suggestion indeed. I made this suggestion as well. Mheshimiwa here has bursaries, and you can't blame him because people come to his home every morning. When Mheshimiwa, I don't know whether you also get those guests. I'm told in Central it's different, but they come to your offices, I'm sure. Kwetu, saa 11 asubuhi, watu wako kwa mlango yako. Even now, they know very well I don't have bursaries. Bursaries with the MP. But it is worse for me now. Anytime they see me at home, saa 11 ni kama soko ya Gekomba. In my gate. That this is reality. If you go home with me, on the 80% school fees. And yet we have bursary here, bursary there, bursary huko, bursary huko. I think we may just need a candid conversation and ask ourselves, this NGCDF, and I'm a very strong advocate of NGCDF. If there is anywhere where I've disagreed with the late Baba, it was the NGCDF. And by the way, I disagreed with him when I was no longer an MP. I told him, Baba Hapa, you are wrong. NGCDF has helped this country. You guys, I want to tell you this. Don't listen to these people of civil society. They have their own issues and agenda. Yes, the Constitution may say this, but were we made for the Constitution, or the Constitution was made for us? Let us see how we can mainstream NGCDF. If you think MPs have too much powers, reduce those powers of the MPs and make sure there is NGCDF, because our education infrastructure in this country would not be the way it is today without NGCDF. But that part of NGCDF that goes to bursary, I think it is now about 40%. We can get that 40%, because like the last allocation was 58 billion. The one that is running this year. Let's say about 60. 40% is 24 billion. Then we go to NGAF. I can see governors are also struggling, even though education at that level is not evolved. But they are fighting all over with control of budget, and for good reasons, because governors are always in the village there. And people are coming to them for school fees. What do you want them to do? The same with MCAs. So let us ask governors, how much have you been paying And don't say the money that has gone to counties should never come back. No, we want fund education. We can make education affordable in this country. We can. We can. But again, Kenyans, we have some very bad habits. Very bad habit. Even people who can afford to pay for their children also want free things. My child goes to university, ati mimi pia nimekiu. Nataka help. Ya nini? And there are people who are suffering. People who cannot afford. And you are crowding out such people. And you are lying on those forms. Nyinyi kwanza, nyinyi wanafunzi. Mnafundishwa tabia mbaya na your parent. Your parent is alive and is a teacher. Okay, teachers also are not so much. Let me give an example of you have no is a DO, a deputy county commissioner. Yeah? Mashara is your father, and you go and lie that your father is dead, and then you attach death certificate of his brother. That is what some students do. It is unethical. It is wrong. Let me tell you, some of us, if it were not for efforts of some people, I would not be standing in front of you here. Because my father, I was born when my father was 71 years old. I know you are laughing because you have started doubting whether he was really my father. But I will tell you, those who know my father or who knew him and me knew, I don't know whether God just wanted to save me from the stress. I'm a photocopy of that 71-year-old mzee then. He could not. Hakukuwa na pesa. Thank God at the university I got help. Higher Education Loans Board. That's why I think we must support Higher Education Loans Board. Our children must be supported at the university. For high school, I was lucky. My brother went to Kericho, tea plantation. He did that manual work. He educated me. If it were not for him, probably I would be somewhere along the shores of Lake Victoria, doing some other very productive, economically productive exercises. There is, I have had you on GBV. So that was all. Was there anything else? But some question here on pension payments. I know we have had challenges with pension payments, but we are streamlining that department. The Director General is here. He knows what we are doing. Pension department we are automating now so that those issues of delayed pensions will be a thing of the past. We will not have delayed payments anymore of pension. So just bear with us. We are cleaning up that space. And there's a lot of corruption there also. So let's allow us to clean it up. We know of people who have, I'm telling you things that happen in this country. Some pensioners, some beneficiaries are doing business in Gikomba. But their beneficiaries, they're the ones taking pensions. So we are trying to clean up those things. Wache hapo. I want to thank you very much for coming. And I know that there is some lunch that was being provided. Lakini nimesikia kuna wengine pia, you know, there's a way we communicated to bunge la wananchi, to business community, to the students and the rest. Now nimesikia kuna wengine wamesikia tu Mbadi anakuja na wakakuja. Now watu kama hao kwanza, you know, they make me happy because wananipenda. So I don't know, but I'm leaving something extra for those people. The accountant, mko wapi hao watu? Accountant ako wapi? So tutaongeza ile pesa alikuwa naye ya kusota hao wengine. Kuna hawa hawako kwa list. nitaongeza some so accountant, you have enough security there. These are the people, you know, someone was telling me they get crushers, but they are not get crushers. These are